top of the stretch. It is Tiz the Law in front with 3/16 to the finish. Tiz the Law has a 4-length lead. He's left the others behind.
Live from the backstretch at historic Saratoga Racecourse, this is Racing Across America. Racing Across America is brought to you by Pennell's Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, Saratoga, just minutes from the track. The new Capital OTB wagering platform. Bet any place, anytime with the new Capital OTB wagering platform. CapitalOTBBet.com, the premier wagering site in New York State. And the Clubhouse Racebook. Can't make it to the track? Make it to the Clubhouse Racebook. 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Good morning. Welcome to Racing Across America on this Wednesday morning as we kick off another week up here at Saratoga. Things have cooled down. The humidity has cleared out a little bit, at least currently, so that's good news. If you're planning on heading up this afternoon, that weather situation with the sauna-like conditions, again, has changed a little bit this morning, so that's a nice relief. Coming up on this morning's show, AJ Benton will join us. He's in the green room right now, a contest player that does very well, and we met him a couple of years ago out at the NHC. He's qualified again this year. We'll get some of his thoughts on the contest play, maybe a couple ideas for this afternoon as well. A little bit later on, Liza Hendricks will join us. You see her on the Fox program, but she's a Flying Start graduate, started the Wanamaker's online auction with a partner, and so we'll talk about all of that and more. But Wednesday means jump racing, which I have always appreciated since I was a kid coming up here at Saratoga. Love it this year as well, as I'm already in the black after the first few weeks with the picks I've made here on the handicapping program, so it's working out well for me. And always like to talk the jumps, and as we do every year up here, invite in the National Steeplechase Association Director of Racing, Bill Gallo, to talk about the jumps up here and beyond. Bill, good morning.
Good morning, Seth. Thanks for having me on.
Happy to have you on. As I say, I love the jump racing. And give us a little update on this season, because I've mentioned it earlier, but this season we are not only here at Saratoga, but currently at Colonial, and so the trainers and jocks are kind of bouncing back and forth, but it seems like been successful at both venues so far.
Absolutely. We've been on the run. I actually was at opening day at Colonial and then had to come up here for our activity up here, but the jockeys and the trainers have been going back and forth, and 2 races every Monday at Colonial, first and second race, actually before their program, and then of course we're the first race here every Wednesday. So it's a lot of racing, but it's all good. Everything's gone very smoothly so far.
Very good. And I'm going to pull up a replay. We have a replay going back to the Smithwick, which kind of kicked things off here. Nice way to start off the jump season in a Grade 1, and it was Down Royal getting it done. And I'm showing this because you talk about a fun story. Kate and Bernie Dalton, and Kate wouldn't let go of the horse after the race. She wouldn't go in the winner's circle, get her picture taken. She hosed down the horse and took her back. Sean Clancy said, "I'll hold the horse for you while you go get your picture." He's like, "Nope, I'm holding." So it was a great story on the steeplechase side with the family affair there with this nice win by Down Royal. But as I say, great way to kick off the season.
It was a very popular win. Kate, the trainer, and married to Bernie, the jockey, a mare, a New York bred mare, I should point out, and they got all that extra bonus money. So it was a wonderful day, and a gray mare to boot. So she kind of stands out. And
that didn't even dawn on me as a New York bred. It didn't even dawn on me connected to the jump side, but still the bonus money on the New York bred side with a great.
I think it was an addition. The purse was $150,090 to the winner, and I think it was an additional $43,000 in bonus money.
So it pays to have a New York bred, even on the jump side of things. Very good. Talk a little bit about Saratoga. Obviously, the jump season up here is every Wednesday, and I'm going to pull up another replay because I want to talk about what's coming up on the stake side a little bit later on. going back to Colonial a couple weeks ago. We're going to look at a flat race, but I want you to I want the folks to take a look at the horse that runs third in here. It's going to be number 2, Snap Decision. And if I remember right on Twitter, he fired a buyer that matched up with buyers he was shooting like 4 or 5 years ago. But Snap Decision, a very good jump horse, and as I understand it, went in this flat stake. And again, he's going to be the number 2 horse in here. Went in this flat stake because he thought the trainer thought with the Smithwick maybe the weights would be a little too much. But we're looking forward, I think, to a return to Saratoga for the very talented Snap Decision over the jumps, right?
It was. Let's hope he comes. The weight's going out today. He's going to be the high weight at 164. He's going to give away 24 pounds, and it's a challenge. He's an exceptional horse.
Very.
That was an incredible prep race for him on the flat. That was a $150,000 flat race at flat stakes race at Colonial, and he competed against some very, very good horses. So he's primed and ready. The main target is obviously the Jonathan Shepard on the 17th next Wednesday. It'd be wonderful to get him on the grounds in the race, and that's just another stepping stone to Aqueduct, and then obviously Far Hills, which is weight for age. So Far Hills in the 3rd Saturday in October is the main goal. That's a $250,000 Grade 1, our richest race of the year. So a great horse, Jack Fisher trained, Hall of Famer, owned by Bruton Street. It's a nice story, and it'll be really good to get him here.
Yeah, super talented jumper, and again, it was kind of fun to see him in that flat race, running very well in a flat stakes race at his age, the venerable Snap Decision. So yeah, we hope we get him up here. I will also note, I don't think we're going to get her up here, but going back to last year, boy, the Mean Queen, but we'll look for her down the road, right?
Yeah, I mean, that was the key rivalry last year, last fall. It was electric.
Yeah.
The Mean Queen, and they're both. We have a rating system, and they're both weighted at 160 at the top, well above most of the other horses. But I was just with Carrie Breon, the trainer, this morning at the Stakes Barn, and I asked her about the Mean Queen. You know, where can we expect her? She's at the moment she's pointing to the Aqueduct race, and that'll be great. The Lonesome Glory. And for sure, ultimately, going to run at Far Hills.
And you've alluded to the Aqueduct race. You were talking to me before we sat down. Update people, because normally there would be racing, a couple of jump races down at Belmont after we wrap up here at Saratoga, but no Belmont this fall because racing in New York will be conducted at Aqueduct, but they'll be over the jumps at Aqueduct.
Yeah, we're really excited about that. We're really pleased and grateful to Naira, for switching us over to Aqueduct, and obviously they have the 2 turf courses. I'm not quite sure which one we're going to be on, but it'll be great to have those 2 races. I did a little research. We have not raced at Aqueduct over jump since 1974. So it's 48 years or so. And I think Leo O'Brien rode the last winner of a jump race at Aqueduct. So that's pretty exciting.
That's crazy, yeah.
To talk about history, I mean, if we bring nothing else, we bring something different. We certainly preserve the history and the tradition of steeplechase racing in New York, and that's why we belong here, in my opinion, and thankfully to Naira, they agree with that. But moving downstate to Belmont, we've got a great history there, and even further back at Aqueduct as well. So,
talk a little bit about the season in general. How's the season kick off? I know the Iroquois was a big race to kick off the season, but just generally year in and year out. I know it's been a little bit different the past couple of years with the pandemic, but now that we're getting maybe back more to normal, how's the season play out from early on with like the Iroquois going into Saratoga and Colonial and then moving forward?
Yeah, it's been a very good season, really solid season, and we recovered. I mean, we took a heavy hit with COVID, and there's no question about it. Most of our meets are without pari-mutuel wagering, so the key is attendance. You've got to get the people there. With COVID, obviously, many of our race meets did not run. So in 2020, we only ran 80 races for the whole year, and thanks again to Naira and some of the folks in Virginia that actually hosted races, but it was a struggle in 21. Last year we started to come back, but right now we had a terrific spring. The crowds were back, they were eager. We had some record attendance at some of our spring meets, so the path forward is very positive. Next year I think we're going to be 100% and moving on from there. The sport is growing, believe it or not, and we grow with the success of our race meets, and things are going well. We've got a very ambitious program at Colonial Downs. And you mentioned it earlier, concurrently. I mean, we've got 2 races for 9 weeks in a row, 18 races down at Colonial. So A lot of racing, a lot of opportunity, and the money is pretty good.
And for folks who maybe aren't familiar with the game, you again, you kind of alluded to it, the meets that aren't at racetracks. Talk a little bit about the atmosphere there, and if people are kind of, as I say, aren't familiar with it, maybe they would enjoy that. It's a little bit of a different experience than coming to an actual racetrack facility. But it seems like, just kind of looking at social media and whatnot, there's a fun party atmosphere,
Exactly.
the tailgate kind of an atmosphere.
And that's what it is. It's tailgating. It's usually a family function. It's gather with your neighbors. It's a party outside, and it happens to be horse racing going on at the same time. You can't bet on it, but most of our spectators are clearly interested in horses and enjoy the day. And you'd be amazed at some of the crowds we get.
And I will alert people also that, again, if folks aren't familiar, I was just looking at your schedule before you came on, and coming up in October, there's actually a New York meet out at Geneseo.
Geneseo is one of our smaller meets, but it's a very popular meet. It's wonderful for the community. All of our race meets, they raise money for charity, and that's critical. So I feel like we're really making a contribution, and they're providing the purses based on attendance. And Geneseo is a great one to go to. It's a very old meet. It's traditionally run in the fall, and it's got a great following.
If people are interested, and the Saratoga meet wraps up, and people are thinking, I still want a little horse racing into the fall, what meet would you recommend people go to kind of introduce themselves to the sport?
Well, if you could go to the best one, I recommend going to the best one. That's in Far Hills, New Jersey. It's the third week. It's our championship day. Now, there is pari-mutuel there. It's hubbed through Monmouth Park. It goes to 1,200 outlets, and so that's an extraordinary day of racing. All stakes races. In fact, we even added a $100,000 2-mile flat stakes there, just to kind of give the cards some diversity. But they get about 35 or 40,000. It's 60 miles west of Manhattan, in a very upscale neighborhood, and it's an upscale meet. And our horsemen point to it for the entire year. So there's a beautiful transition from Saratoga to Belmont or Aqueduct into the Far Hills meet, and that's critically important particularly for our stakes horses and Grade 1 horses.
And it often plays into the jump eclipse as well.
Absolutely. In fact, last year Naira got involved with the Fox show, and you mentioned Liza coming on. She'll tell you about it. But she was the Fox host out there last year, and they actually showed live the first 3 races from Far Hills last fall. And we've talked to Tony Alivato briefly, and I'm sure he's interested in going back, which is great.
And if people want to go live from this area, it's not a bad drive.
Not a bad drive at all.
Yeah.
A couple hours.
Very good. And I will also tell people, if they like steeplechase racing the way I do, and particularly if you're handicapping during the meet, and some of these, jump meets are, not on your normal viewing of replays, you guys have a great website. And I asked the guys to kind of pull up and alert people of the website address. It's nationalsteeplechase.com. But if folks go to the website, they can watch replays of all the jump races, regardless of where they are, on track or at some of the jump meets.
We revamped everything, and we've got live streaming of all of our races, which is wonderful.
Oh, nice.
In fact, the Colonial races are live streamed every Monday. Even though there's no betting, we do have a live stream on that. And everything's on our website. Everything's been revamped, and we're getting a lot of compliments about the website.
Yeah, I've been a big fan of the website for quite a while, and as I say, it also helps handicapping if you're looking at these jump races and you want to go back and find one of those replays that you can't find on a regular replay outlet. You can pull them all the jump races up at the nationalsteeplechase.com website. Bill, appreciate the visit, and before we let you go, just did want to get maybe some opinions on today's race. And when you sat down, you disappointed me because I picked the entry on top, and I much preferred Bright Eyed Eagle, and you said Bright Eyed Eagle is out. That leaves Spring Heel Jim in there. I wasn't quite as convinced on that one. Baltimore Kid's interesting to me. Hurtgen Forest, what did you think in the opener today?
Yeah, I mean, we've got 4 comeback horses. They ran 4 of the horses in the race, ran on the 27th. So it's pretty easy to figure those guys out. They finished 3rd, 4th, and 5th, and 6th. And then the 2 newbies, Arch Kingsley's horse, right fresh off the maiden win at Colonial. Impressive, wire to wire. They're going to have to catch him. He's going to be in front for sure. And then the new shooter is Baltimore Kid, Kerry Breon's stable. Leslie Young is the leading trainer so far this year, but it's a close battle between Young and Kerry Breon, and Kerry Breon's been hot as a pistol with the young rider. She's got Parker Hendricks, 18 years old.
Liza's brother.
Yes, Liza's brother, exactly. She'll tell you all about him, but he's a wonderful young man, a wonderful young rider.
Seemed to appreciate his victory at Saratoga on Freddie Flintshire the other day.
Absolutely, yeah. But he's accomplished, and this horse doesn't have a lot of experience, but she's very high on him. And,
let me ask you this. One of the reasons I like Bright Eyed Eagle, but Hurtgen Force, same scenario. Do you give a little extra credit to the horses who have won at Colonial, won on a racetrack venue when they come to Saratoga?
Great point. It's a great point. The scenario is very similar at Colonial as it is here. We do not jump the last fence in the stretch the last time. And we do that for safety reasons, and we do the same thing at Colonial. So whether we're at Colonial or whether we're here, it's approximately 5/8 of a mile from the last fence down the backside to the wire. So it's a very interesting race. It's kind of a combo race. You got to be quick.
Yeah.
And you jump that last fence, and it's a flat race from there to the wire. So you've got to have speed. And good form at Colonial typically will hold up at Saratoga. You got to pay attention to those horses that perform well it's basically winning you're in. We don't have any maiden races here. So if you don't win at Colonial, you can't even come to Saratoga.
Speaking of that, for folks, and I've had people ask me, and I'm not fluent enough but last week we had the novice. What does that mean?
Those are our younger horses, and we don't push them into the upper stakes level right away. It's based on a date. Horses that have broken their maiden after March 1st of last year. So you can stay in that novice division. In fact, Snap Decision did that for quite some time. And each time you win, you pick up weight. And he picked up about 15 pounds of weight during that transition. But that's the concept. It's worked very well for us over the years. So you can win 2 or 3 or 4 races in the novice division, and you have a year to do it.
Very good. And again, the big race comes up next week, and I appreciate, because people who watch this enough know I was always a Shepherd fan, so the appropriately named, I think you guys did a good job there, but we're looking forward to that as a highlight of the jump season up here next week. But it's been a great jump season so far, so congratulations to you and the whole team at the National Steeplechase Association. Good luck going forward.
Thanks very much, Seth. Appreciate it.
Bill Gallo, the Director of Racing for the National Steeplechase Association. As I say, I love the jumpers, and so you can enjoy them up here every Wednesday afternoon as the kickoff race, and that includes today as well. We'll take a break. When we come back, AJ Benton, we'll talk some contests. We'll maybe get some ideas for today. All of that and more. Stay tuned.
For 4 generations and looking forward to a 5th, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued their 99-year tradition of delighting their faithful following with the finest authentic Italian recipes made with the freshest ingredients. Some things have changed in the last 99 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Capital OTB is now streaming live on Roku. The RTN Racing channel on Roku lets you watch OTB TV live through your Roku device or your Amazon Fire Stick, rather than being limited to computers and mobile devices, which means you can now watch OTB live wherever you are. Simply open Roku, scroll to find the RTN channel, then click on OTB TV. OTB TV on Roku. Try it now.
Hello everyone, I'm Scott Vartley and I'm here at the West Condominiums in Saratoga Springs. And guess what? We are down to the home stretch. Everything is 2 bedrooms and 2 baths. Come make a selection of one of the greatest condos ever to be built in Saratoga Springs. We're starting in the upper 5s and the only rooftop penthouse available now under construction. Wow, just look at this patio. We have a rooftop pool, heated garage, balconies, and a gym. Call me at 518-281-6808.
Welcome back to Racing Across America on this Wednesday morning. As promised before the break, happy to be joined now by our friend AJ Benton. We met him out at the NHC in Vegas a couple of years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years back. I think you came up to us, having watched Capital OTB on your visits to Saratoga, pulled you on there, and then COVID summer, we interviewed you across the street at the Horseshoe, but you're a regular visitor to Saratoga, so I thought we'll pull you on once again on our legitimate set, talk a little contest play, handicapping, and more. Welcome.
Oh, thanks, Seth. Appreciate it. Thank you for having me on. It's just been unbelievable, you know what I mean? When I go to Vegas and get really, really lucky, I finished third last year in January, and I've cashed all 3 times. So
yeah, no, it's more than luck when you play at your level. And I wish I had more time because I love the contest and I love playing. I would love to go out as a player to Vegas, and that's my goal. I keep plugging away the opportunities I do get. We were talking last night. Oh, first, when you sat down, you mentioned you were at the sale last night. How about that? You talk about gamblers.
Yeah, that's unbelievable. Those guys are spending millions of dollars. I don't know. That seems
on a yearling.
Yeah, on a yearling. Unknown, unproven. For me, it's, I don't know, a little bit too much of a risk.
No, it was an incredible sale last night. But again, you were taken in Saratoga. Give us your background a little bit. What do you do, your profession otherwise, but you're over in New Hampshire, and as I say, you head here to Saratoga every season for a little bit of time.
Yeah, Saratoga's unbelievable. I consider it like going to a carnival. You know what I mean? You know, the people are great. The horses are unbelievable. Everybody's trying to win. You know, you can just, everywhere you go, the people are nice. They're very endearing, and you know, they're willing to talk to you, and they love horse racing out here. They really, really do.
That's what's special about this. I always say, if you're sitting there for dinner at night and the people at the next table, hey, the double I'm playing tomorrow, or the exact I hit today. If you're a horse racing fan, this is the Mecca, and you're here every summer. How long are you in town for this time?
Till about the 15th.
Nice.
Yeah, it'll be great. You know what I mean? I get to enjoy and peruse through PPs and enjoy the races for the day.
You have a favorite restaurant?
Believe it or not, I do. I love 15 Church. The place is unbelievable. Yeah. Food's great. Never had a bad meal there, ever.
You aren't alone. I know a lot of people do. Talk a little bit about, for somebody like me, I'm interested in how you qualify, because as I say, I want to qualify. So when I talked to you last night, you've got a couple of seats. How did you qualify?
Well, I qualified about a month apart. I qualified in, I believe, March and April. I ended up finishing first in one of the events, and then I finished second in the other one. So, and they were giving away 2 for the day. And I had, 2 big price horses that got it done for me the first time, and then the second time I ended up getting a horse to run second for me late in the game, and got me up there to.
The place price was enough to kick you up?
Yeah, it was like $13. Just a horse I've been following, you know what I mean? I do a lot of replays, and like we said in 2020, the clock reports are so huge. They really do give you a lot of nuggets and stuff, and may not be all the time, but there is some stuff in there that hints at ability. And I believe watching races and watching race replays and seeing how the horse is getting over the ground and seeing what the jocks do and how far wide they go sometimes and how much ground they can actually lose in a race is unbelievable. Like you have horses that'll go 7, 8, 9 wide into the far turn, so they're going to lose 9 lengths if you get technical. So a horse that loses by 10 might not actually be that far off from the winner. I believe in ground saving is the way to go. Absolutely.
Are your qualifying contests online contests?
Yes. Yep.
So yeah. Playing horse players or?
It's believe it or not, I got both of mine on horse players this year, but I play on horse tourneys too. Horse tourneys is great. They have the tourney triple.
Yeah, let's toss that out. You just won the tourney triple.
Yeah.
And explain what the tourney triple is to people.
So the tourney triple there's 3 events. There's one in January, it's the FloCal. There's one in April, it's the Players, which is an all-optional format. So the one in January and the one in August that they just had is all the races in California and all the races usually either New York or Gulfstream. And you just play every race, and obviously over the 2 days, the 2-day contest, you know what I mean? They give out, day money for the top 3 or 4, and they give out a lot of money to the people that finish in the top 25.
Well, I was talking to you last night and reading about the triple, the top prize seat to the BCBC and a seat to the NHC, but you said you already had 2 seats to the NHC, so you got a little cash there.
Yeah, I got a BCBCC and I got about 5,000 cash.
That's a nice day at the office.
Yeah, it's a nice weekend. A very stressful weekend with all the horses and stuff, but it was for the better. You know what I mean? It's consistency is key, right? So in those 3 events, I had 3 great events spread out over 8 months. I finished like 8th or 9th in the first one, 30th in the second one, and 18th in this one. So, and it was enough to get me to overcome the people that finished higher than me in the other 2 events. So really, really great.
Do you have favorite venues? You mentioned the contest. You're playing some California tracks and whatnot. Do you have favorite tracks you play, even outside of contest play, just favorite tracks you like to look at and play during the year?
For me, probably my favorite track is probably Saratoga and Gulfstream. I love those 2 tracks.
Gulfstream all year long or more championship meet?
Just championship meet. Saratoga for me, I start focusing when they go over to Belmont. In like May or June, I'll start watching all the races for them because I know most of those horses are coming here. Obviously, you get shippers from Churchill and Laurel and everywhere else. And that's fine. That's great. You know what I mean? It's great to have, new horses in there. Field size has been pretty good for the most part for the meet. There's been obviously some prices, so hopefully that continues. But obviously, we had the Chad Brown show on Sunday. He just wheeling out these absolute monsters, but he's got good stock, so can't expect anything less, right?
We got a couple of pictures that I pulled up from the final table at the NHC this year, and I wanted to talk a little bit about your performance there, where you wound up third. Third was $150,000.
Yeah.
Nice, very nice.
Yeah, it was about $21 short of winning it.
And you're third from left there. That's the final table, and that's the way the contest plays out. The first couple of days they pare it down, and then as you get to the weekend, and then the Sunday, the late day on Sunday, it's these last 10 people, and 8 races for the final table. Is that right?
It was 7 this time.
7, okay.
Yeah.
And if I read right, after the first day you had $72. After the second day you had 190 something. You wound up with 321. Talk a little bit about how you progressed into that last day, and then moved through Sunday and moved through the final table.
Well, I liked a lot of. I'm very, very picky with races that I want to play. So, these are like 9-hour days for me. And I just sort of moved along. I had 2 horses that I liked on Saturday, and I had 4 horses that I absolutely loved on Sunday. And I got lucky and they ended up winning. So
all 4?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. 4 out of the 10 optionals on Sunday I ended up having horses win. And I started off right out of the gate with $61 horse.
Oh,
after
that's gotta feel good.
Yeah, after I ended the day before on Saturday, I ended it with like a $50 horse and a $54 horse to get me up into the 190s. And they were just horses that, for some odd reason, just didn't take money, and they just, like, their morning lines were 8-1, and I think it was like 10-1, and they just floated to 20s, and I'm like, general public isn't always right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I got lucky, and I got both my horses to just wire the field. So, and then on Sunday, I ended up having my horse. He ended up saving all the ground on the rail, and he ended up winning pretty easily. And I had a first-time starter that I loved. Bred to a stakes horse, won easily. And I took a flyer on Dennis Drazen's 10-year-old, only raced like 8 times, but he looked like an absolute beast on the track, and I'm like, how do I not take this horse? I go, it's 5-1. I go, I had him at like 2-1 in this race, but totally worth the play for me.
So you're not just sitting in that Vegas hotel room the night before making notes. You're looking at the post parade and making decisions there too.
Oh yeah, post parade for me is important. They have to look good, feel good. If they don't look good or feel good, I just skip the race and move on. I learned that at Rockingham Park a long time ago. You know what I mean? Like, I like to be up close.
I love that, learning the lessons at the Rock.
Absolutely, you know what I mean? Like, that's how I got my whole start. Back in 2001, I'd watch them in the paddock, and the horses that usually look good usually run good. Horses that look like they were washed out or really sweaty and just not happy to be there usually didn't really run good. Obviously there's some of them that do, but it's very small amount of horses that do that.
Yeah, favorite races? Favorite 2-year-old races, turf races, sprints, favorite races you like to play?
I love the turf. I love 2-year-olds on the turf.
Okay.
I love the baby races because you get so many unknowns from the freshman sires and everything else, and you might be able to
I'm right with you.
Sneak a couple over on them.
And then there are things that you can find that aren't on the page that other people don't know that get you a price off.
Yeah, like I love the pedigree reports. Pedigrees are great. You can look back and see their mom, their dad, their great granddad, and everything, and you might find back in there that there's some ability.
Well, we'll take a look in a second, but before we do that, you mentioned workout reports, pedigree reports. What are your tools that you use?
I use Brisnett's Ultimate PPs. I think they're tremendous. They help you with pace, and I don't know. I use them for everything, and like I obviously have to double check their work too, because they'll put stuff in there sometimes that is actually not as accurate. Like, they could say the horse stumbled at the start or steadied at the start, but when you look at the head on, it's not actually true. Like, usually a horse is very athletic, and depending on how bad it is how bad I'll look at it. You know what I mean? And I'll watch it a couple of times. And then some of them will go to their knees out of the gate, and I'm like, all right, well, obviously that's going to affect his run. And the ones that are very, very athletic, pull themselves right up after it, more than likely it didn't really affect their race at all. So, love race replays. Just you get a familiarity with the horses. You know what I mean? The more familiar they are to you, and usually your eyes don't lie to you. You know what I mean? Yeah, you're more likely to see it. So that's my tools, anyways.
Excellent. Well, let's put some of your tools to work. You have a few ideas for today. And speaking of the 2-year-olds, race number 3 today, 2-year-old New York bred maiden specials going 5.5 on the grass. I went with the cleverly named King of Comedy in here. I thought there was a little breeding that was interesting. But what are your thoughts on the third?
I'm going to take the horse that's already had a start. The 4 Con Man gets Tyler Gaffleone up. Got some experience first time out, and Cassie's 17% off the bench, second off.
Yeah, and you're getting 4-1. I had that one in my mix as well. Experience does count. The breeding on that one I wasn't so enthused about, but I have it in the mix, and as I say, experience does count. It is Mark Cassie, so I can't disagree. That one intriguing. The 5th race today, conditional claimers, 1 1/16 on the grass. I took a little look at, the master of the obvious here. I put Chad Brown and Klarovich on top with inflation adjusted, but I thought there were other interesting options too. What did you see in the 5th?
I like the 4, Be the Boss. I think he might just get loose on this field, and they're going to have to wheel him in. And Javi's not a bad jock at all.
Particularly at this meet.
Pretty savvy so far this meet, and he's a nice price, so he's worth a shot for me.
Yeah, the 15-1 looks a little generous on him, and I will say he's making a class move that I like quite a bit. Now, I like to see them in that state bred allowance more often than just the most recent race. But for me, over the years, state bred allowance into an open claimer, an open conditional claimer, that's a really potent move. So.
Well, yeah, and those state breds are actually pretty good.
Yeah.
They're pretty stiff competition when you're going into, state bred back into open allowance.
Yeah.
I thought he was worth a sniff.
Particularly at the 15-1, I can't disagree. And then finally, let's take a look at race number 7 this afternoon. Starter allowance at the 50 level, 5.5 on the grass. I put Just Say When on top for Wesley Ward. I'm not thrilled with the inside post position there, though. Quick turnaround for Cousin Andrew, who's kind of intriguing. But what did you think in the 7?
I like the 4-4 Harp. He just missed, ran into a little bit of traffic in the stretch, and he was gaining late. So I think maybe he gets all of it to go his own way today, especially with Lascano. Lascano will guide him. I think Tripp's everything. If he literally only got beat 3/4 of a length last time, so I don't know.
Yeah, he was right there last time. I'm looking again, 10-1 on the morning line. So
might be a gift.
Yeah, another intriguing one, and so we will certainly be taking a close look and rooting for your plays today. But AJ, we appreciate the visit, and again, congratulations on the success in recent years. NHC and beyond. You are moving up the list this year, maybe 2 or 1. And where did you start the final table this year?
I started it in second.
Okay, so you were just kind of bouncing around.
I took a huge shot. I took a 25-1 shot in the last race to try and win the whole thing.
Oh, well, I don't plan. Why not?
I lost 50 grand, but you know what? In the grand scheme of things, it's 3-1 odds. And the horse that I liked, was bred for grass. He came from overseas. It was his first time over here, and the clockers loved him. They said, he was like...
I like the shot for $750,000. I can't disagree with
that.
Yeah,
two Bs coming in here. They said he looks like a runner, and he looked like a runner on the track, so why not?
Well, again, the third, I'm envious there. 150K there. Nice win in the triple tourney, and that sends you the BC. Have you played the BC before?
Yes, I played in 2020, even though I couldn't go on track, but I guess I got my wish and I get to go to Keeneland anyways.
There you go.
So, maybe the horse racing gods showed me some love there, and I got the opportunity to go do it again. I'm very, very excited to go. The wife's pumped. Yeah. So, and we'll just see what happens. Maybe, I've been watching all these graded horses all year, and hopefully, I have something interesting to put out there.
We'll be rooting for you. AJ Benton, again, good luck at your time here at the meet. Have fun here at Saratoga.
Oh, yeah.
And good luck, of course, BC and NHC. And hopefully we'll be back out there again, and we'll pull you over live in Vegas.
Oh, absolutely. As I always say to you, Seth, whatever you need, I'm more than game for it.
We appreciate that. AJ Benton, contest player extraordinaire, as it were. We appreciate the visit this morning. Good luck.
Thanks, Seth.
All right, we'll take a break. Liza Hendricks is in the house. We'll talk to her. A little jump racing. We'll get some thoughts there, but we'll also talk Flying Start. We'll talk Wanamakers and more right after this. Stay tuned.
Set now for the juvenile fillies turf. 14 of them across the track. Eagles sent on their way. And the dance on the outside. Broke a little sideways, but broke KK. But meanwhile, it's going to be stopped. But running on now, and Somali Lemonade's got 8 to make up. They come to the top of the lane. Stop. Shopping Maria's got a lot left. Stop. Shopping Maria goes on. Sweet Cat is right there. Hard not to like. Royal Body is running on. Past the 8th bellway comes. Stop. Shopping Maria for the run. Still under a hand ride as they come to the 16th. Stephanie's Kitten coming out late. Yes, Stephanie's Kitten coming fast. Stephanie's Kitten. Stop. Shopping Maria. Stephanie's Kitten's watered. Watched the chances, broke smartly, but so did Terra from the Cape. On the inside, Sky Lantern, the grey going well. If he can get through, Sky Lantern, the grey looking for somewhere to run. Wide open. It's Terra from the Cape hanging on. Terra from the Cape tries to go all the way. On the outside now, here comes Flotilla in the light blue. Flotilla is absolutely flying. Watch the chances in there too. But Flotilla has gone right on by. And Flotilla is coming home to score. Flotilla has won it just about 2 in the end. It'll be Watch the Chances, Summer of Fun, coming on to finish third.
Welcome back. As promised before the break, we are joined now by Liza Hendricks. You see her on the Fox show talking the jump races on jump days, but talking racing on other days as well. But she's a Flying Start graduate. We'll hit on that. Co-founder of the Wanamaker's online auction. We'll hit on that as well. Liza, good morning.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Happy to have you over here, as I say, to talk about some of the various things. I wanted to kind of kick off, first of all, give us just your background. I mean, you come from a racing family. So normally when people come here, I say, how'd you get into the racing game? You were kind of born into it.
Yeah, I was born into it. Both of my parents are trainers in Maryland and Pennsylvania. And my dad's a steeplechase trainer, so that's how I got into the steeplechase racing. My mom's a flat trainer, breeder, owner, and now my older brother's taking over for her. And my younger brother, as you see him right up here, he's riding steeplechase horses. So it's all in the family.
Well, and speaking of that, I called for a couple of replays, and I had them listed a little later, but since you mentioned it, I'll pull them up. Going back to the broadcast last year, Caravel and the Caress, will show a little bit of Caravel coming down the stretch, but then they cut up to the stands, and it was you and your mom up there, and I'm guessing, breeder and whatnot, and the family had to be thrilled, and you can see it on the expression on your faces. Talk about this day last summer with Caravel getting the stakes win, and again, you clearly are all very, very excited.
Yeah, it was such an exciting day, so emotional as well, just to have my mom win on that big of a stage, and all the work that she's put into, she takes care of the foals in the morning before she goes and trains and puts hours and hours into it. So to see that pay off for her was pretty incredible, and to all be up here with her was amazing.
The breeder as well just adds to the whole story.
Yeah.
No, it was incredible. It was fun to see. And then I pulled up this year. This had to be exciting as well. Going back a couple of weeks ago, we'll watch Freddie Flinshire, the interview afterwards, because in the winner's circle, you got to interview your brother. That had to be who's having a pretty good jump season overall, but you could tell as he came under the wire up here, very excited to win at Saratoga, and this had to be a lot of fun to have your brother in the winner's circle after the race.
Yeah, it was amazing. I wasn't really expecting it at all, and then I saw him cross the wire and celebrate, and I just got very emotional. They were trying to video me as I was crying as he crossed the wire.
That's great.
It was amazing just to see him win. He's leading steeplechase jockey right now at 18, just graduated high school, so it's amazing. And he goes into Fair Hill as well and rides out for Carrie Brion. And while he was in high school and riding out, he would go to Fair Hill at 5, 6 in the morning, ride 3 sets, and then drive an hour to high school, which was the complete opposite direction of Fair Hill. So he put in a lot of work as well, and it's really paying off.
And he is riding very well, and it was great to see him come into the wire and give the lad, God bless
him, a little celebration
up here at Saratoga. Perfectly understandable. I mentioned earlier, and I think we have a picture of your class of 2020. I believe, Flying Start, and I see a niece was in there as well. We're going to have her on to talk a little bit about Amplify, but already the class is making some waves in those fashions. Talk a little bit for people who aren't familiar with the Dolphin Flying Start program. At the sale, I saw our man, Alex Sauceville, over there, who's headed to the Flying Start this year. Scotia graduate, local guy who makes good. Most recently, I think he was over at the Irish National Stud, but now he's going into the Flying Start program. Talk a little bit about, for people who aren't familiar, what Flying Start is all about and what it meant to you.
It's such an amazing program that Sheikh Mohammed has sponsored for the racing industry. It's 2 years. You go to 5 different countries in those 2 years and learn pretty much everything about racing and breeding. You do a little bit of everything, so you'll go to the farms in the morning and work, and then go to the classroom and have a lecture in the afternoon, do nutrition classes at University of Kentucky, vet classes at University College Dublin, so just a wide variety, and it kind of sets you up for anything in the industry. So there's trainers, bloodstock agents, marketing, you can kind of get into any different side of the industry and meet so many different connections throughout different countries. So now when I go to Australia or England, I have friends to catch up with there, and very familiar faces around the industry.
Which countries did you travel to?
So you start in Ireland, and then you go to England, Kentucky, Australia, Dubai, and then back to Ireland to finish off the program.
Very good. So how was all that travel?
It was amazing. I loved it, yeah. It's a lot of living out of a suitcase. But
the one place you mentioned that I would love to go to, I was on a podcast recently. I said that what's your bucket list race? And I can think of a bunch of them, but I'd love to go to the Melbourne Cup. I'd love to go see racing in Australia.
Yeah, it's incredible. And the atmosphere around the racing there is great too, because the races are right in the city. So you hop in a taxi and the taxi driver's like, oh, who are you betting in the 5th? I own part of a horse in the 6th,
Which reminds me of Saratoga, and I'll ask you, now that you've been to all these venues around the world, how does Saratoga stack up there? And I always say that's part of what makes Saratoga so special. You're downtown at night, and the people you're walking by are saying, hey, the double I'm going to play tomorrow, the exact I hit today. So it's a similar feeling, but how does Saratoga stack up?
It's right up there for me. I love Saratoga. I grew up coming here, and my father was stabled in the annex when all the steeplechase trainers were there. So it has a special place in my heart. I love it here, and the atmosphere here is incredible. I love coming up here every summer.
It's just, and the fans are so knowledgeable. You see that after a big performance, they all recognize it. It is very special up here, certainly. But it's great to hear an opinion from people who have been all around the world at various venues and how it stacks up. You mentioned Flying Start sets people up, and I know, looking at the various graduates from the past few years, you're absolutely correct. They are in all areas of the industry. And you subsequently have started an interesting venture with a partner, the Wanamaker's online auction. And I wanted you to talk a little bit about that for people who aren't familiar, because I think it's kind of a brilliant idea. So talk a little bit about Wanamaker's, what it is, and where people can find it. We have a shot of the website right there with the address, so people can check it out for themselves. But talk a little Wanamaker's.
Yeah, so I started it right after the Flying Start program. I was actually down in Australia, as we were talking about, and they have a few online auctions there, and they are just taking off there. They sell around 500 horses every couple weeks down there. So I kind of brought that concept here, and in my second year of it, it's going great. I like to keep that consistent base around the year. And have a monthly online sale and mixed sale throughout the year, so you can consistently sell any type of horse, whether it's a race horse and you don't want to wait for a horses in training sale, or a brood mare now that you don't want to carry until November and can sell it from anywhere rather than taking it to a sales ground.
So monthly auctions?
Monthly, yeah.
And for folks who have horses for sale, they can check out the website and get more information there. Mm-hmm. Are the monthly auctions scheduled on certain dates?
Towards typically the last Thursday of every month.
Okay.
Yeah.
So folks can check it out again at the Wanamaker's website and learn more information there. One of the other reasons I wanted to have you on, it's a jump race today, so I thought we could say we had Bill Gallo on earlier, and he informed me, unfortunately, that there is a scratch of Bright Eyed Eagle, who was my top pick. Yeah. And so I was a little bit disappointed there. I've been doing pretty well. I love the jump races, and I've been doing pretty well so far. now that I get the weaker half of the entry, I'm not sure how well I will do today. But again, we see you on the Fox show talking to jumpers and beyond, and I thought I'd get some opinions from you on the jump race today. Again, I wind up with Spring Heel Jim. I'm not sure I'm enamored with that. Baltimore kid's interesting. Hurtgen Forest for me. But what are your thoughts on the opener today?
Yeah, I like Spring Heel Jim as well. I think Baltimore Kid might be the better one of the two from Kerry Bryan.
That's a handicapping puzzle for me, and I had the horse right underneath. But a nice win in the debut, and then gets pulled up in the follow-up. But being so lightly raced, you don't know which way to go with that one. But I thought, I'm gonna trust that maybe we get back closer to that win in the debut.
Yeah, and he's had a break since then. I think the ground was pretty tricky that day, so I think they just kind of took him back and took care of him that day. But that first win was pretty impressive. So I think if he's back on that form, he'll definitely be competitive today.
Yeah, I think as I say, once I lost my top pick, it becomes a much more competitive event. But see if I can keep my streak going over the jumps. And you are on the Fox show today talking jumps, right?
Yep, I'll be there.
How do you like the Fox show?
I love it. It's great. It's such a good team there, and a lot of great talent on, so it's very entertaining.
Yeah, for years I've known everybody involved with it in front of the camera and behind the camera, and I've said that it's not just good for New York racing. I think it's good for racing in general to have racing on television and on a Fox network, Fox Sports network, the way it is. I think it's broadened our appeal, and so I certainly appreciate it. I asked Bill, and I will ask you as well. When I had Bill on, I said, a lot of people aren't familiar with the jumpers once we get away from Saratoga, but there are the meets with the tailgating and whatnot, and we talked a little bit about that, and I asked him what his favorite is. And again, with your family, I'm sure you've been at a lot of them. So if folks are thinking, I might want to go to one of those, what's the best one to go to?
I'd have to say the best one would be the Iroquois outside of Nashville. Far Hills is up there for me as well, but
Okay.
I love going down to Nashville
Very
as well
good.
for the Iroquois.
Which is earlier in the season, right? Usually
Correct.
what, March or April?
The weekend after Derby, so you can go
so
Derby,
early May.
Iroquois, Preakness.
Oh, very good. I like that.
Yeah.
The trifecta, the jumper being sandwiched by a couple of Triple Crown races. Very good.
Gotta fit them in.
Yeah, very good. Liza, we appreciate the visit. Good luck this afternoon with the jumpers and on the Fox broadcast. Continued good luck moving forward on the Fox broadcast as well, and with the Wanamaker's website, which I think is a fabulous idea, but we appreciate the visit.
Thank you so much for having me on.
Liza Hendricks, again, you can catch her this afternoon on the Fox show as she'll be on, covering the jumpers and beyond. So keep that in mind for this afternoon. Otherwise, I'm going to wrap it up for this Wednesday morning, racing across America. Again, the humidity has moderated nicely. If you're headed up here, you can take advantage of this very nice weather and enjoy racing this afternoon. As far as television, we will be back on tomorrow morning for the Handicappers Report at 9 a.m., racing across America at 10 a.m. Enjoy the racing this afternoon. We'll see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. for the Handicappers Report.
For 4 generations and looking forward to a 5th, Bruce Cerrone and his family have continued their 99-year tradition of delighting their faithful following with the finest authentic Italian recipes made with the freshest ingredients. Some things have changed in the last 99 years, but not Pinnell's commitment to the finest in Italian cuisine. Pinnell's Italian Restaurant, a Saratoga tradition since 1922. 284 Jefferson Street, just minutes from the track.
Come on!
I want sales reports on my desk by Monday.
Oops.
My bad.
Love racing? RTN brings you every live simulcast on your home television, plus live video streaming and race replays on your PC and mobile devices. To order, visit rtn.tv. RTN, a breed apart.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.